Welcome back, Last Man In, episode number 94. There's lots to talk about today.
That's a dirty, rotten lie.
No, there's stuff. Hockey.
There's some things.
Actually, sorry, there is lots to talk about because there's two goalie controversies right now in the NHL. Going into game 6s of their respective series. Why?
Isn't there 3 goalie controversies?
Who was the other one?
Well, 3 of the 4 goalies have gotten pulled, and the other one broke his knee.
Jones got pulled?
Yeah.
For Reimer?
Yeah.
When?
Oh, yeah, last night.
What?
No.
You didn't see that?
No, I didn't.
Not last night, the game before. So I
before.
guess the controversy's over. But
Yeah, Rhyme Time played.
game 4, Rhyme Time played.
You
Like
missed
half the
Rhyme
game.
Time in a
Missed
conference
Rhyme Time.
final?
I was hammered.
He came in.
2 nights ago?
That would have been Saturday night. Yes, I was. That would have been 3 nights ago.
That was
Sunday
Saturday.
night.
No, it was
Saturday night.
Saturday, dude. Oh, wow, yeah, okay.
I was...
Why were you hammed? What were you doing? What was on Saturday? I was actually going to text you on Saturday, and then I fell asleep.
Oh.
I watched the
I was in bed
Wheaties
by...
game, and then I left my friend's house, and I was like, oh, maybe I could go out again, but I was so tired. And then my sister texted me, like, hey, come get me. I went and got her, and then I went home, and then I fell asleep. The looks on your face says it all. You're welcome.
Hey,
for that.
I fell asleep around
I can't vouch. I didn't even leave my house.
I fell asleep around 12:30 on Saturday.
But you were hammed. So what were you doing?
Kids, if you're under the legal drinking age, do not take after me. I am a bad example.
I think they probably figured that out by now.
Yeah, okay.
We're all bad examples. Right?
So,
Dan's actually...
Don't follow Greg's political views either.
No, my political views are fine. However, I woke up Saturday around noon, and I had to clean out my grandpa's garage. And then I texted my friends. I said, what are you doing? They're like, well, we're having a few beers. Do you want to join? I said, sure. Hadn't eaten all day.
What time was this at?
This is at 4 o'clock in the
Okay,
afternoon.
so 4 hours to clean a garage.
I did quite the overhaul.
You did the overhaul.
Overhaul.
No
3
kidding.
big, contractor bags full of crap, along with an entire, recycling bin full of crap.
What? Any good finds?
No good finds.
And you didn't eat, so I'm assuming you woke up at about 11:45.
No, I woke up at noon. At noon.
Oh.
And I got out of bed. I was like,
I don't.
15 minutes is
when
giving
you
them too much.
when you wake up, I factor in half hour of I don't care
don't
what
wanna
happens.
get up.
Yeah, I don't care what happens in the first half hour that you're awake.
I knew
That's
I
true.
had to get this done because I knew I was going to meet these friends later. So I was like, I dragged myself out of bed, and I did it. And I just took I did that, and I cleaned out the trunk of my car, and just did some other random housekeeping stuff. I realized how many broken sticks I have. I had a box full of broken sticks in
What'd you
my
do with
grandpa's garage. I still have them in
oh,
his garage.
sweet, good.
So I have them lined up, and there's close to $1,500 worth of hockey sticks that are broken.
Is that the bucket on the right side?
Yeah, it's gone now though. It's lined up. It's lined up.
Okay.
So, so I started drinking around 4, and then I had about 5 hot dogs. I think 5.
So you had a barbecue at this point.
5.
Yeah. And then
Were they big dogs or
They
were
were
they
a
like
little
top
longer,
dogs?
a little
Top
longer.
dogs.
They're a little bit longer than top dogs.
Costco size?
Not Costco size.
Dude, those are the easiest hot dogs to barbecue.
Great.
Very easy to
Fantastic.
barbecue.
You've barbecued hot dogs how many times?
Once.
Yeah, exactly.
I cooked 60 of them. I feel like
It
I'm an
went
expert
well.
at them now. Yeah.
Cam made them, they
So-
went well. That's all you need to know.
And I was like, some more people started showing up. It was 10:30 at night, and I'm just like,
Have you gotten up yet? From your seat? How do you do
No.
the test?
well, no, yeah, I was fine.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't I was drunk, but I wasn't incoherent Greg drunk, as you've seen before. At
We've
that
all
level.
seen incoherence of ourselves, I think.
Exactly.
Maybe not Dan that much.
I haven't really seen too much of drunk Dan.
Because when Dan was drunk as well, or incoherent, I was worse. So
That's true. He always outdid me.
and that's why Cam's sober.
I have problems, guys.
Yeah,
You
so
don't-
it was 12 o'clock, and I was texting one of my friends, and she just so happened, she's like, well, I'm in the area. I'm like, I kind of want to just go home and go to bed. Do you want to pick me up? And she
Your
literally-
friend or a Tinder friend?
No,
What are we talking?
I'm not a part of Tinder. That's not true at all.
Okay, so
Those are lies.
if you hand me your phone right now, I'm not going to find Tinder.
You
on it?
will maybe find
Is this
Tinder.
a pre-established friendship?
This
or
is a
Tinder?
pre-established friendship.
Okay, so
Girl from school.
She
Okay.
texted you saying that did she want to go home?
No.
Or you
I
wanted to
I
go
was
home?
texting her the whole night, and I was just it's well, if you need a ride later, let me know. And she's like one of those. Yeah,
she's one of those. A nice person.
a nice person.
She wanted you to live.
She's one of my few really nice friends that I have.
Okay.
You guys don't count. Yeah. So then she drove me home. It was 12:30, and I fell asleep around 1 o'clock in the morning, and then puked in my garbage can. So that was good.
Nice.
Oh no, that's good. At least it's not like on your bed or
No, it wasn't. It was
or all
it was,
over your
good.
bathroom
So
floor.
it's-
That's a fun one.
or all over my hotel room.
Yes. Yep.
Yep.
To fill that in. There was an adventure had in Brandon when
Yes.
Greg and I went to Brandon.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You haven't heard the
You
story?
were.
No.
Where were you? He was somewhere too.
I think you were in like Calgary or Edmonton or something like that. Anyway, this is not a show about
Probably.
drinking
No.
stories or puking because, we could go on for days about
What
that.
the lesson you could learn is eat some food
Yeah.
and drink some
Water.
offset the
Beer
alcohol
and
with water.
Here's the other thing. I was so, the Raptors game was on for whatever reason.
Great game.
Game
I watched
3.
the fourth quarter.
Game 3.
Yeah.
I don't remember much of it.
Oh, okay.
It's not because I wasn't watching, it's because I was also playing pool at the same time, so I didn't really watch it. And then we started playing a drinking game,
For
so I
being
wasn't
incoherent,
watching
you
it.
got a lot of you got some key memories here.
Well, the thing is I never black out. I've never done that, so
That'd be scary.
I think it would.
I don't
be.
know if it well.
So, nonetheless, to finish my story off, and then we started playing drinking games. So all we knew was what the score of the game was. I never knew that James Ryan played.
Oh wow. We
You
really
did.
we
You
really went
missed
on
it.
the adventure.
Yeah.
Wait,
Is that how that started?
Yeah.
yeah,
See?
exactly.
I don't remember.
Welcome to Hockey
So-
Podcast.
To recap,
There's nothing to talk about.
To
Yeah.
recap, we'll start in the East, where we left off last time. It was 1-1 in the Eastern Conference Final. Is now 3-1,
3-2.
3-2 for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they have Game 6 tonight at home. Do we know what the score is in the game?
1-0. Pittsburgh.
No.
1-0 Pittsburgh. Now, the controversy in this series was Pittsburgh went up 2-1, right?
Correct.
Then Tampa Bay,
yes.
Tampa Bay fought back in Game 4 and won in very Tampa fashion. I think, what was the final score in that game?
4-3, but they were
4-3.
up 4-0 at the start of the third, and
Yeah.
then Pittsburgh got right back in it.
And then, what did they do to start Game 5? Well, Matt Murray's fault. So, let's start Marc-Andre Fleury, who hasn't played since March. Literally since March.
It's the Halak thing all over. You ride the hot hand.
You do.
Yep. That game, if Tampa wins tonight, obviously it's a series. But on top of that, that's the turning point of the whole series.
It is statistically shown that the team who wins Game 5, more often than not, wins the series. It's just what happens. Think of all this year's playoffs. Except for there are the outliers, but normally in a 2-2 series, Game 5, the team who wins that game, they have the advantage, right? You're up 1-0 in a best of 3 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So
I
it
just want to
makes
mention
no
about
sense.
Game 4, though. I
Okay.
will tweet this, even though everyone's seen this by now. The great Pierre Maguire interview with Phil Kessel. Bad breath. Is it really that bad? No, your cardio. Like Phil Kessel's greatest laugh ever. The most awkwardest, greatest laugh ever. Have you seen this?
Pretty bad.
I saw it with no audio.
Okay,
Believe it or not.
I'll tweet it with audio.
And it was
bad,
pretty
eh?
funny with no audio. So,
It was
Well, he
very funny.
just saying.
you gotta just keep putting the notion out there that Phil Kessel, for some reason, just apparently he's out of shape, but yet still can score.
I was going to say, he looks bigger every year, facially.
He's quite the beard right now.
But he just
But
looks
I'm
big
with
old
Dan
guy.
on
He
it.
just looks bigger. Looks
That's
a little,
It's fine. It might be.
If they
totally
make
fine.
the Stanley Cup final, he has to be a Conn Smythe favorite.
he scored
Yeah.
the game tonight.
He's so
What do you
good.
want?
That's seven.
He's
that's
so good.
7 straight games with a point.
He's so good. You
He's
can't even
literally
argue it
a
at this
point per game.
I don't know why anybody ever doubted him.
Who?
Well,
Anybody?
The
Kessel.
Toronto Maple
Well,
Leafs.
they said he did-
media.
They said he didn't show up in big time games. Well, he didn't play a big time game in this whatever 6 years he was there.
Actually, the one big time
So,
game he did play in
that's
was
true, he
Game
played
7 against the Boston Bruins. He silenced all his Boston Bruins haters. If they win that game, the narrative of Phil Kessel not being able to play in big games would have been gone. But because they didn't win that game, the narrative was still there, even though it made zero sense, because I think he finished that game with 3 points. He definitely had 1 goal and an assist.
Watch Kessel get a hattie tonight, and then the game winner in Game 7.
I just think it's a small sample size to say he didn't show up in Game 7 once, so he doesn't show up in big time games. I don't know.
That's like the whole notion that Marlowe and Thornton can't play in big games, and right now they're proving everyone wrong.
They've always been able to play in big games.
Exactly. They were huge in that 2010 Olympic game.
But it seems as though as a team, the team doesn't show up in big games. So you can't really blame that.
Joe Thornton's points per game in the playoffs are like 0.9.
Have they ever gotten past Game 5 in the conference finals? I don't think so.
No. This will be the deepest they've ever been in the playoffs.
They set a franchise record last night for most wins in the playoffs ever with 11. So that's correct. They've never played past, I guess, Game 6 Western Conference Final then. Ever.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Game 6.
Well, because you'd have to win 11 games for that to happen, right?
Yeah.
True.
So...
No, they would have gotten to a Game 7 if they won 3. Yeah. So, they've been to a Game 7. So, they haven't played their most games. Nonetheless.
Sorry.
What thinking do you think went behind Sullivan's thought of pulling Matt Murray for Game 5 and letting Marc-Andre Fleury play? And I wouldn't say Marc-Andre Fleury necessarily played bad. He just came into a situation where he wasn't going to win.
What do you mean?
Like, everything was set up for him to lose that game, essentially. Because you're putting a goalie who hasn't played an NHL game against a swarm of NHL players who can all score and all finish. It was like Vasilevsky in Game 2 against Pittsburgh. It's an adjustment period. What do you expect to happen? Why are you not riding the hot hand?
See, when you're this deep in the playoffs, I don't like switching your goalie.
That
it just doesn't make sense. Like, the Blues went to Jake Allen, they won, but at the same time, he won one game, so you're going to keep roll with him, and then what happened? They lose the next game, he's out. He's not playing.
It makes no sense.
It makes no sense to me.
It damages the other person's confidence, and we know from a history, and Cam knows this, he's a Philadelphia Flyer fan, Marc-Andre Fleury is not good in the playoffs generally. That is the knock on him.
And now
just like Kessel can't perform in big games, quote unquote, Marc-Andre Fleury implodes in the playoffs.
He had one season where he won the cup. So I actually had this argument with a friend of ours who's the Penguins fan, where I was saying, like, why would you play, why are you starting Fleury? And even he had mentioned, like, I have no idea, I would have kept Murray in. And then I'm like, yeah, Fleury's awful in the playoffs, just trying to get under his skin. And he's like, oh, is he awful? And he sent me a picture of Fleury kissing the cup. And I was like, that makes me so mad. Because I was like, 7 years ago. But it is an end argument. I can't argue that he wasn't amazing in that playoff run. But since then, he's been average, if not very questionable.
That's like saying Carolina's a good team. No offense, Nick. But they won the cup 10 years ago, and they've done nothing since.
I think they've got a deep prospect pool, but
it's since
I'm
then.
just saying, it's the same deal. You can say they were good, but are they really that good of a franchise? Not really.
I don't know who's making the argument that they're a great franchise, but it's like...
But it's the same idea. Like, Fleury had success once, and
it seems I think we're all on why not ride the hot hand. Like, because, again, it's an adjustment period for your team, too, because your team already knows what Matt Murray brings to the table. Now you're playing in front of a whole different goalie, and you're 2 games away from being either advancing or being eliminated. Why would you even chance that?
I don't think it...
Matt Murray's back and he's playing tonight. So what was that for?
Who's the last team to change their goalie in the conference final and win the Stanley Cup?
I don't think it's... That was the question I was going to ask.
Oh, no, they didn't win the cup.
Who?
I think that was the question I was going to ask was, of a goalie who's been hurt, or gotten hurt, or switched out in this late of playoffs, where are the statistics to show it actually has ever helped the team? Think about the last goalie that got hurt deep into a playoff run was Carey Price, I think, in 2014 against New York Rangers. And then I think it was Tokarski came in and just shit the bed. It's not that it exposed how bad that team was in reality, and the fact that they still have done nothing to change anything in Montreal is hilarious.
And now they can't even get Guy Boucher. The best.
Exactly.
The best. Can't wait.
But even last year, Ben Bishop was there in the final. They don't win. They didn't win.
Sorry, Ben Bishop was there?
He went down the final.
Went down the final. Yeah, exactly.
They didn't win the cup.
Exactly.
I'm not saying they would have if he was healthy, but they didn't win the cup.
There's so many more not win the cup, like Flyers, Boucher, Leighton, Emery. Oh my God.
Jonathan Quick never got pulled in LA's cup runs. Crawford was hurt early in the playoffs. He missed the first round.
Scott
Darling was the only reason why I think last year they made it to the second round. Because they were just, for some reason...
But the change didn't come 2 games before you're potentially in the final.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
No, and I agree with that 100%. And another time, not one of the more recent, but dating back to even when Edmonton had their great playoff run in 2006, when Dwayne Roloson played unhumanly to get them to the Stanley Cup final, and then Ty Conklin goes in and makes the dumbest mistake
I was
ever.
just gonna say that. I was gonna be cool. The biggest one I can remember in my lifetime of watching hockey is when Roloson. I could see the play happening in my head. He's going to play it, and then Andrew Ladd came from behind and swept his leg, right, or something like that, and he went down.
Yeah.
And then I just remember there's a shot that's going on in my head. Who was the guy?
No clue.
Who was he was a ginger. He played for the Oilers, but pasty skin. Todd Marchand.
Oh, okay.
Was it Todd Marchand?
Marchment?
Marchment? Who?
Mike Commodore?
No, it wasn't
Marchment.
Big curly.
Marchment, maybe?
Marchment?
I don't know.
25.
Jufro.
I think so. No, it wasn't that guy. I know who Mike Commodore is. Maybe
Was it the other Smith?
Ryan Smith?
Not the other Smith, number 21.
Yeah, Ryan Smith.
No, there was Ryan Smith, and then there's the other Smith.
There was
Ryan Smith wore 94.
and then Craig Smith.
Or was
21.
it Craig Smith? Or
Craig
was it-
Smith was
I'm
the
pulling
captain
it up.
for the
Okay,
Flash.
yeah.
Okay, pull up their roster.
God,
The 2000...
Oh, Fernando Persani.
Oh, Fernando
there you go.
Pisani.
he
Okay.
didn't have a fro.
No, I didn't. I
Okay,
just
nonetheless, you don't know what he looks like.
it cut to this guy, and I just remember him like the look on his face. You know how nowadays kids are trained since they're 10 to be like, don't be stupid on social media, don't be a robot on the ice, be Mark Scheifele in interviews, be him, don't give him anything but give him enough. That's it. So they won't question it, but they don't really want to interview. Anyways, you could tell that they hadn't gone through that, and so he was literally on the bench. He was like, "Oh shit, it's over." The look on his face said it all.
Okay, if you could find the clip.
What
tweet it.
happened? I don't know. I don't even remember what you're talking about.
Okay.
It was when Roloson went down, and then
Yeah.
they cut they were because
Did Conklin play in the final?
Yeah.
Yes!
Conklin had to
Because
play
Roloson went down.
game 5 and game 6.
Oh, and
But-
they won.
because
Yeah,
Ladd
they
took him
lost.
out.
Yeah, Ladd took out Roloson, and you just see Roloson go down. And I remember watching that game and just be like, they're not going to win now. But
Well, and you
The-
were so young at the
now-
time that you're like, you lost your goalie,
yeah,
your backup.
but here's the thing: you look at the other side of the ice, where Cam Ward, this guy that came out of nowhere, stole the show from Martin Gerber.
Matt Murray.
Exactly.
Come on.
And
What are you doing, Pittsburgh?
there was no part of that series. Now I don't remember it necessarily because I was young, but I don't know if at any point Carolina was thinking, well, you know what we should do? We should probably pull Martin Gerber for take out Cam Ward and put Martin Gerber back. It made no sense. So, I two final questions about the series, and then we'll move on to the West. First of all,
How impressive is Drouin?
no, well,
Most.
yeah,
The
very
most
very much so.
impressive.
I lost my train of thought there about what question I was going to ask. Yeah, I can't think of my question. Okay. What have you... No, I've lost it.
Okay,
I've lost it.
well,
I've lost it. The other
time to
question
go
is,
west.
if Tampa wins tonight, do they touch the trophy, yes or no?
No, never.
Oh,
Do
that
not
was
touch that trophy.
that was my other question. What does Tampa Bay do now? They made it to the conference finals without their captain. Does this almost mean now that Stamkos is gone?
He's expendable, I think.
It's tough now.
That office door has been unlocked. It's a glass office door, but it's been unlocked and left slightly ajar.
Because
and Stevie
now-
Y's just kind of sitting there like, well, I mean,
If you
you
sign,
want to touch the door, you touch it.
if you sign
I'll
him,
listen.
if you sign him, you're pretty much saying goodbye to one of the young kids because you can't keep
Probably
everybody.
Yeah.
two of the
Probably
five.
two of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, is Hedman locked up?
Yes.
Yes,
Oh, okay. So then you have to.
but you have Kucherov, Johnson, Palat.
They're up this year. All three of them,
Yeah.
aren't they? No,
Yeah.
one of them.
Kucherov, Johnson.
No, I think
Palat.
Palat's locked up.
Okay.
I think it's
Okay.
Johnson and Kucherov that are
Well,
out.
and then
then
Drouin next
Killorn,
year,
Drouin.
Nemestikov next year, Killorn next year,
Yeah.
JT Brown. Oh,
They've got a lot of young guys.
Granted, Brown and
all of them.
Killorn and them aren't fantastic. You can
Killorn
replace
will
those.
probably get like $4 million though.
Those guys are serviceable, but Johnson and Kucherov are the two guys you need.
you can have two of those
The
or
other
one of
two,
Steven. That's what you're getting at, right? You can
Yeah.
have those two or one of Steven.
Yeah, pretty
And-
much.
And I know the thing is, especially for Tampa Bay Lightning fans, it's going to be tough to say bye to Steven Stamkos. But look at the product that's on the ice right now. It's fantastic. And now, and this is the other question I was going to ask, because both... Now, if Andrei Vasilevsky, hypothetically, leads Tampa Bay to a cup championship now, because Bishop's out, does that make Bishop expendable?
Is his contract up soon?
Tradable.
I think his
He was a
contract is
Vezina
up soon.
candidate, though. You didn't.
I don't think so.
No, he is.
No,
He's
no.
literally a Vezina.
No. I'm saying I don't
Yeah.
think it makes him expendable.
Oh, yeah,
no,
we're on the same
no.
side. I don't.
The guy got hurt. It's not
Too small of a sample size
It's
to
not
just
like-
let him go.
It's not like he got pulled.
To just
Vasilevsky won
okay.
them a cup. He got hurt.
To rival, why would...
Why would you expend?
Yeah.
But
Ben
it means
Bishop?
you might have a goalie down the road
Well,
if you don't want to retain Bishop at some point.
Here's the thing now, is you now have a hole in your lineup where Steven Stamkos used to be. Not saying it's... But if you get rid of Bishop and Stamkos in the same summer, and by moving Bishop somewhere, be able to bring in a top-end talent that can fill a top 6 role, I think you'd go for it.
Oh, to fill up the lines better. I
To
suppose.
fill up the line.
Okay.
That's my argument for it. I also think they should retain Ben Bishop at least to the end of his contract because I just lost
New Jersey.
No, the name of the Tampa Bay goalie that's playing right. Vasilevsky. Sorry, my brain's fucked today for some reason.
Well, the alcohol's coming back.
Must have been the
It's
alcohol.
flashbacks.
Still drunk.
So it must be. So Vasilevsky, I think he needs a couple more years to develop before he's before he's a starter. Same with Guzlevskis. I think he needs a little bit of time as well.
They have that guy too. I forgot about him.
Their future is very bright.
Yeah, but can you imagine, like, say they win the cup this year, and they don't sign Stamkos. They're like, you know what, we're going to move on.
So, define
Next-
not sign, or are they trading him?
Stamkos.
Yes.
Yeah,
no.
they can trade him at the draft still. They have his rights
That's
till the
true.
draft.
Yeah,
Say-
if you're not gonna sign him, you gotta
got
get.
tr-
You have to get. It's Steven Stamkos.
You're
All
not
right,
going to let
say
him
they
walk.
trade him.
Okay.
They get decent return.
Okay.
If they don't make the playoffs next year, how much crap is Steve Yzerman going to take?
Oof.
A
Probably
lot.
fired.
A lot.
I
was
wouldn't
our-
say fun. No.
Hold on.
I'm
No.
not saying that they won't because they've proven me wrong this year that they're good. They don't necessarily need Stamkos, but if you don't sign him and you tank next year, you're in trouble.
Earlier in the year, we
You're in
talked
trouble.
at in this very room about would Stevie Y or Cooper are one of them going to get fired? Because at the time,
They were
Stamkos
that-
wasn't happy and Drouin wasn't even in the organization.
Yeah.
So the axe has got to fall somewhere, and
Yeah.
it usually falls on the coaches. But I'd probably fall it on Cooper before Yzerman. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it comes down to. Think of the last 5 seasons for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Stamkos has been hurt a few times in that time. I'm okay expending a player that I know is going to be too big for this market at the right now currently. That, granted, unless I think the worst thing that could happen is he goes to Detroit and it's Detroit-Tampa again next year and Stamkos scores the winner, then people will be pretty pissed off. But I still think that Tampa Bay is, even without Stamkos, a much better team than almost every team in the Atlantic Division other than maybe Florida going into next season.
But they could always take a dive, and if they do, and Stamkos is gone, there's going to be some finger
But
pointing.
here's the thing. If they do take a dive next year and pick in the top 5, that's not the worst thing for them.
No.
Because look at what Galchenyuk's done for Montreal. Granted, he's not playing the best role, but the year they tanked, they finished bottom 3 in the NHL, got Alex Galchenyuk, and he's been nothing but a stud for them, and in my opinion, should have been the number 1 pick.
Who was their one pick?
Nail Yakupov. But Nail Yakupov had his stats because of Alex Galchenyuk, for the most part, in his first year at least. But it's not a bad thing to have a regression year if it means, like, here's the thing. If they sign Stamkos and both Kucherov and Johnson move to go somewhere else, all of a sudden, you might not have as good of a team as you once had, and there goes the slip anyways. So it's a lose-lose for Tampa Bay in this situation. Unless they can get a good player, like, no. If, let's say, they dump Stamkos and he goes to Detroit, what would Detroit be willing to give up for him? Would it be like an Anthony Mantha?
They'd have to give up a lot more than that.
No, they
No,
don't,
no, no,
because
but
you're
you
just
got-
dumping a player. It's not.
Because you
Yeah.
have to have an agreement.
He's
in
going to walk
place.
for free, you're right. So,
It's
Because
yeah,
Because
exactly.
it's funny, as
it's
you
going to take
mentioned,
probably a roster play, like a roster player that can play right away or a really good prospect.
right off the top of my head, this will not happen.
Chris Thorburn?
You know what? Yeah,
Bet your
yes.
Okay.
Right off the top, before you mentioned Mantha, because I forgot they're giving him away for basically, you get an extra 4 days. They have to have an agreement in place, so obviously they're going to have to talk to him beforehand.
Of course.
They have to
Yeah.
give him agreement.
Of course.
So,
Of course.
Mantha's a great pick. In my head, will never happen. I thought, like, it's got to be a player a la, like, Tatar or Nyquist, but...
No.
Yeah, no, exactly. Detroit's not going to give a guy like that if they can't guarantee that they could sign him.
If they could
Mantha's
guarantee
a
they'd...
great one, though.
If they could
Mantha,
guarantee
Xavier
they'd-
Roulette,
yeah.
maybe?
Or
If-
Thomas Yurcho.
Yeah, player like that. It's going to be that in a pick.
If they could guarantee that they would sign Stamkos, they'd trade Nyquist or Tatar.
But
Hands down.
maybe not, because both those guys could definitely complement by having Stamkos there.
You don't start with that, though. You always lowball first. You see,
But here's
you
the
send
thing.
No,
out a
I know,
feeler,
but
right?
did you imagine Larkin and Stamkos?
Yeah, but that's
And-
one line. And they lost Datsuk. So that
I'm just
doesn't scare
saying.
me.
Well,
Just
you
saying.
go Larkin, Stamkos, Zetterberg. Then you go. Then you can have Tatar, Nyquist,
Sheehan.
Sheehan, and then your
Abdelkader.
third line has Abdelkader,
Advocator, I think, is on
Anastasiou.
the, on the
yeah.
first line right now.
Yeah, like they have depth there. It's just
It'd be
we're
interesting.
speaking hypotheticals now. I want to talk about another hypothetical before we move to the West, because this is way more than two topics. What do the Pittsburgh Penguins do with Marc-Andre Fleury going forward? It is very clear that at least the fans want Matt Murray to be their goalie, and doesn't it look a lot more attractive for a team that is in cap trouble, doesn't have the most cap, to go with a goalie that's making, I think it's like $830,000 next season versus
what,
$5.5. What can you get open market Marc-Andre Fleury? But you
I can tell you one team would take him. Buffalo.
over Robin Lehner. I
think
wouldn't be
so.
surprised either.
I think
that
so.
is a good call.
That's a great call. Wow.
You know who else needs
Calgary
Okay,
Flames.
Well,
And they have the pieces.
They have the pieces.
I was going to say Florida, but they're still paying
Bobby
Longo, so
Labango.
maybe not. It's too much for them right now.
This
Like,
is what I would do. If the expansion draft gets announced this year, like at the draft, that means the draft happens next year, so you give them a full year warning. He gets traded at the trade deadline next year, or keep him, don't protect him.
well,
He's
that's
the goalie.
Wouldn't you
I
try
think
and
whatever
get something
team he
for him,
goes,
though?
I think whatever team he goes to is most likely not like he could go to a Toronto, which is I've heard an argument, and I don't want to see him there personally. I'd rather have them go after a younger goalie or just try to.
Calgary works great.
I think Calgary works great in the sense that
Buffalo too. Yeah, no. So
Calgary
I'm
and
just
Buffalo-
Calgary has no goalie though,
literally, Jonas Illich
No.
signed in the Swiss league.
Exactly.
and Kari Ramo's a free agent too, I believe.
But the biggest thing right now that Pittsburgh needs is a defenseman. Who would Calgary be willing to part with for that deal?
God, don't.
No, it
Don't
wouldn't be Hamilton.
do Dougie.
No. We're not talking like we're not talking an A-level player. We're talking more third, fourth guy, and then you throw in another prospect in there.
The blind side, Dennis Weidman.
No. Oh, he did play there at one
A
point.
little old though.
A little bit older. I was
Do they
thinking.
have any?
I was thinking they go, and unfortunately for Cam, they get rid of Oliver Killington.
It's Shillington actually pronounced.
No,
I was
Killington.
just gonna say him.
Yeah.
Actually,
Okay.
yeah. Wow, yeah.
And then one of their depth forward guys or pick.
TJ
Ryan
Brody.
Jankowski.
TJ Brody for D.
No.
No, he's too good.
No,
He's too valuable.
no,
Him,
no.
Giordano, and Hamilton are the core three of that team. Defensively.
Because they have to.
Yeah.
All right, we got to go to the West.
We do.
What's happening in the West right now?
Brian Elliott's starting Game 6 tomorrow for the St. Louis Blues because they're in desperation mode because for some reason, a goalie that wins you not only one playoff series against the defending champs, then wins another playoff series against the number one team in the Central Division, isn't good enough to win you a playoff series against the third-seeded San Jose Sharks after only losing 2 games.
Hold on now.
It made no sense. It
The
makes
two
no
games- the
sense.
2 games he lost was 4-0 and 3-0.
Jones was
How-
down 4-0. He got
So
yanked.
here's
They
my
put him
question.
back in.
Here's my question. How many games in the history of the NHL have been won when your team does not score?
Probably none. What are you, Wayne Gretzky?
Exactly.
Oh, you missed
No.
that shot.
No,
No,
but-
tank.
That's
How many
my
games
argument.
have been lost when your team hasn't scored a goal?
A lot.
Not 100%.
Wait.
Because
Well, you
said
can
tie.
you used to be able to tie 0-0.
Oh,
but
okay.
I didn't say every single one. I said a lot.
That's true.
Because, yes,
This is a great series of 4-0, 3-0, then dueling 6-3 wins
Yeah, exactly.
by both teams. Guys, there's going to be a big
Lots of
thing
scoring.
happen tomorrow.
As Cam says,
7-0
as Cam says,
Saturday.
it's boring hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the Sharks are in it. They're the most exciting team in the playoffs.
Now, here's my...
Besides Tampa Bay.
One of the biggest glaring problems right now for St. Louis is the guy they're paying $7.5 million to score isn't scoring in Vladimir Tarasenko.
Well, he's a dad now. He's losing his sleep.
It must be.
What did we learn today?
Never become a father.
And drink a lot of water.
Yeah.
Man, it almost rhymes.
Yep. There you go.
It's kind of hard when Troy the Bull Brower is putting the puck in the net
But
every game.
Tarasenko right now is not performing. He is just not.
Well, they're shadowing him. He's their guy.
He's a young.
When you need scoring, you cover him. He's
also a young guy. He's never been in this situation before,
Yeah.
so he might fall on his face, which is what he's done pretty much so far. But I don't think you can criticize him too much.
No,
but
I'm just saying, where has he been?
He hasn't shown up though. Well, he's getting checked pretty hard.
He plays in the Central. He's used to it at this point. I'm certain.
Yeah, I would think so.
How is Game 6 gonna pan out?
Sharks are winning it.
Blues are winning because I need them.
I'm locked and loaded. I'm set the coordinates. I'm sniping both series again.
Whoever wins Game 6 wins the series. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, yeah, that makes sense.
It does, because if St. Louis wins, they're going to win Game 7.
Dude, I called the guys back.
If the Sharks win,
called it.
They're gone. Told you.
So, now let's talk more goaltender controversies. Does it seem, since the playoffs started, it seemed that Brian Elliott's been on a short leash. He went in super hot at the end of the season and essentially won that starting job over Jake Allen. But hasn't it seemed that at least the undertone of the entire Blues playoff run is how long until Elliott starts sucking or how long until Jake Allen starts to play? Does it almost feel like there's a little bit of a push from either management or ownership to get Jake Allen more ice time? Because they want him to keep...
every year for the last 2-3 years, even through the regular season, it's like, who's going to play tonight, Allen or Elliott? How
even
old
when they had
or
Ryan
young
Miller.
is Brian Elliott?
I think Elliott's definitely in his late
30s.
Or early 30s.
Yeah.
Like 31, 32. And then Jake Allen's, I think, 25-ish?
I feel like
24?
they've never been, they haven't been this far as a franchise in 15 years. So I feel like they're so strict and they just want to win right now that I don't think they're worried about who's getting ice time. They're just going to do what they think they have to do. I mean, they last time in their conference final was, what, a 1? I think, 2001?
The Sharks.
No,
or
Blues. So
Blues.
it's been a long time since they've been in the conference final.
So here's the thing, though. Hasn't this year's playoffs been the best? Like, if, let's say the GM's mission, I guess, or like the thing that he wants the most is Jake Allen to be the number one guy, doesn't it play in quite nicely that Brian Elliott's played pretty damn well, that maybe they can trade him next year? I know that I'm all about trading goalies because I've talked about trading Ben Bishop, I've talked about trading Marc-Andre Fleury, and now I'm mentioning Brian Elliott as well as a goalie that could potentially be traded.
They could trade Martin Jones and James Reimer can play. Greg would love that.
No, because James Reimer's signing back in Toronto. Because they need a goalie. And you know who else is also a goalie free agent is Ben Scrivens. So they can bring back the tandem. They got them to the fucking playoffs because that led them to some of the best regular season success in recent memory.
I've already told you.
But Reimer can't wear 34.
Yes, he can.
Future is wearing 34.
Guys, it's fine. Jimmy Howard's going to be in Toronto in a month.
And there's another goalie. So it's very interesting. There's a lot of goalies out there. What do the Blues do with this goaltending issue that they have where they always seem to move back and forth between players?
Elliott got you here. I don't know why you go away from him.
Yeah,
if you fall on your face and you lose with them, then, oh well, try again next year. You haven't been this far in 15 years. You got out of the first round for the first time in 5 years.
You beat Chicago. That's a big deal.
That took a big old
San Jose fell on their face a couple of years, several years in a row, until now they finally got back to here. So, I mean, it might take them a few years to get to, the Sharks look like they might get to go all the way this year, which would be great. But St. Louis might have to realize that this might be the first year of a process of slowly do it like the Kings. build your way to the final.
Now here's the real
Not
question.
Chicago, just make it and make it and make it and make it and then don't make it.
Now here's the question. How excited are we for a Tampa Bay San Jose Stanley Cup final?
It would be entertaining. Let me give you that.
Yes. Yes.
Granted, based on my picks, I hope it's not.
Now,
But
is this the most exciting final that we've seen since maybe 2010? Oh, okay, I'll 2011. Because the last 3 years have been... last 4 years have
11
been...
was awful.
that
Boston, Vancouver, that was a terrible final. Boston was like 8-0, 8-0. Okay, Vancouver won 8-0.
We all got together right as a hockey team and watched that one.
Game 7,
bad.
when they won 4-0, and then Vancouver rioted.
Honest to God,
The people of Vancouver rioted, not Canucks fans. No way.
No, I said Vancouver rioted.
the last really great final I remember watching is probably Edmonton, Carolina. There hasn't been a really great back and forth 7-gamer since then. Detroit, Pittsburgh was in the year Penguins
But
won,
you're right.
was close.
You're right.
LA the first year it was 6 games and they blew them out. I'm pretty sure
that was against Devils, right?
I'm pretty sure they lost the game on purpose so they could win it home.
I remember doing the bet and I swore to Dan, I'm like, that was the year that my hatred for LA started, and I'm like, I'm never picking LA. If LA goes, I'm taking the other team. I didn't watch a game. I did not watch a game because I had to pick the Devils for something. It sucked. I literally handed him a free Chinese food meal. Yeah. Oh, delicious meal.
Here's the other thing is, so even the Chicago-Boston series in 2013, that was the Chicago team that won got points in 22 straight games to start the season. They didn't have a regulation loss in the lockout shortened season.
In 2.5 months.
In forever. It took them a gosh
darn long time. Who did they play in the
first
in 2010?
In the first round?
In the final, Flyers.
Oh, that's why.
That series was not.
See, you know what's hilarious about that is that.
But it was
I burned that.
The last was a shitty goal.
The last classic series, honestly, was Edmonton, Carolina.
Yeah, because
I remember that one. And then I don't know.
Calgary, Tampa was pretty darn good too.
I remember.
I think everyone remembers 2001 when the Avalanche won.
I'm so thankful. Okay, I was watching those today because a friend of mine.
That was great.
A friend of mine texted me and she's like, "Hey, she was just
and
asking
New Jersey
me,
was trying to repeat.
Yeah, she was asking me if out of.
I was going to say Devils Ducks in 03 was pretty good.
That was another good series.
See, no, but we remember these because that was what those are the games that hooked us. Are the series now that we're watching because we're getting older, we understand the sport, we're like, oh, that's boring. Are they the series to younger kids?
No. I don't think so because...
just hasn't been as many great moments.
The moments haven't been there.
The moments are good, but there's no 7-game dogfights for it anymore.
As Dan mentioned, and there was another question I was going to ask at the end of this podcast, which we'll still get to, because I talked to 3 cynical old men on Friday, and they opened my eyes a little bit more.
Those are the best ones to talk to.
Exactly.
Lovely.
But Dan's right in the sense that in 2011, even though that I have fond memories of that series because I loved the fact that Vancouver didn't win, because I just don't like Canucks fans. I didn't like the fact that there was riots. I do not find that funny. I think that is the dumbest thing I've seen ever, and I'd be embarrassed to be one of the people part of those riots.
Don't ruin city property!
Exactly.
It costs everyone money!
I feel bad for the people that didn't have any involvement and got just were labeled as bad people. I did take secret joy in the fact that Canucks lost. But that series even wasn't that great. Vancouver went up 2-0. And then got absolutely shellacked in games 3 and 4. Went back to Vancouver.
Got beat up in their own barn, didn't they?
No.
They won Game 5.
Luongo wins Game 5 on a 1-0 shutout or something like that. Then they get absolutely shelled again in Game 6, and then comes out 4-0 in Game 7. It wasn't an entertaining game.
Did they not get shut out in the last 2 games?
No. They might have gotten shut out in
I know
Game
in the
6.
final they
Game
got
7 for sure.
Game 7 they did for sure. But we haven't had an emotional series for so long. One of the reasons why I remember that Vancouver series so well is because Boston just literally beat them up. There were moments where, remember when Tim Thomas just checked Henrik Sedin out of nowhere?
Because Sedin was coming at him. Yeah. And he was in his crease, right? And he just bopped him. And I'm like, Are they going to... Did they? Wow, no
He had the puck. He had the puck. But here's the thing, is we haven't had a series with animosity and teams physically hating each other it's almost felt like, well, LA's going to win when they played against both the Rangers and the Devils. There just was no competitiveness in that series. Even when Boston played Chicago, like I was mentioning earlier, there was very little competitiveness in that series. Yeah, Boston took a couple games. It didn't matter. Chicago was just too good.
The only truly great Stanley Cup moment I can think of in the last long time was Game 5 in the LA Rangers series, seeing them win in overtime. That was fantastic. At home. That was great.
I was happy for that as well.
But that series was
horrendous.
Completely one-sided. The Rangers squeaked out Game 4. And again, I'm pretty sure LA lost on purpose so they could win at home.
I'm so with them.
Because they did it twice.
So with them.
They did it twice. Devils series, they did it too. I'm like, it's just... But that moment, fantastic. But the series...
I think...
was a slaughter.
I think this year's St. Louis Blues, Chicago Blackhawks series has been more eventful than any Stanley Cup final we've seen in the last 10 years. There was a lot of emotion in the series. There's a lot to win, a lot on the line in that series. It was the same in 2014 when LA played against Chicago and Alec Martinez scored Game 7 when it went off someone's glove in Chicago. They beat Chicago in Chicago to go to the Stanley Cup final.
I can see the highlight happening. I remember that.
That was a good series.
Yeah.
And that was a good series. But we haven't had a great Stanley Cup final. I think San Jose, Tampa Bay gets us to that
storylines. Tampa, without their captain, arguably best player.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. San Jose.
Never been there before.
Never won it.
Never been there.
Notorious chokers.
Even if it's Pittsburgh, I still feel that there's magic to be had
as
there.
Much, yeah. Like, even if Pittsburgh makes it. So are we all sold that the Blues aren't winning this? Is that the way we're going
I'm
at
not,
it?
I'm not sold they're not.
Okay,
I'm just
fine.
saying what would be the most entertaining.
Okay, Sharks then, obviously. Even Blues, but Sharks for now. Penguins, it's almost like they're the favorites, but they're still the underdogs. Like, that's how I take it, because it's like, look at the HBK line. They're a line of rejected players. They were either sworn out of their city or they're garbage. No one wanted them, and they were like, oh, nope, you leave. We don't need you anymore. And now they're just tearing it up.
Good enough to get Shawn Michaels to go to a Penguins game?
Exactly. There you go.
Wearing the... Shawn Michaels.
His camo jacket? He has to wear it.
No.
He's a redneck.
Pick a number. Don't do 156.
Did you get why they did that?
Yeah, all three of the jersey numbers put together.
Is that what he did?
Yeah, HBK 156.
They probably gave it to him.
Russell Crowe's at the game tonight.
Interesting.
So.
See, here's the thing. I think...
at the next game, because they're not at home.
If it's Tampa Sharks, it's going to be fast-paced, high-scoring, really fun. If it's Pittsburgh, St. Louis, I think it's gonna be fun, but it's going to be physical.
One game battles.
But here's my argument
Goal
to that.
battles.
But going into this year's playoffs, what series did we say was going to be the most boring, Cam?
Me, the most boring.
Yeah. What coming into this year's playoffs?
Oh,
what series was the most boring?
This year's playoffs?
Yeah.
Oh, I said Tampa, Detroit. That was my favorite one ever.
Exactly. And that's
it's
what
still
I think
my favorite one.
I
just
still
hate each
think,
other.
I think it could happen again in this series. I think if San Jose plays Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay has that because they have that little pest mentality because they're all small and assholes.
Yep, they're small little pests. They get under your skin.
And I think I would love to see Vasilevsky versus Martin Jones. Two goalies very inexperienced in these situations playing against each other. I think it'd be fantastic to watch. And then you have grizzled old veterans like Brian Boyle and Joe Thornton. Guys like Anton Strawman versus defensemen like Mark-Edward Vlasic. I think it'd be great.
Either way, like, honestly, whoever wins, I won't be mad.
No.
Any of the four, I'd be okay.
And then you got
I would rather
Burns.
Exactly.
I would rather it come out of the West. Either team. I'd be totally fine with either team.
Because you want someone to win. A new one.
Who's never won.
A new cup champ.
Exactly.
I'd be fine either way.
So next time we do a podcast, it'll be... Oh, yeah! The schedule was announced.
That's true.
Okay.
Game 1...
Next Monday.
Monday, May 30th. My bad.
So next Monday.
Monday, May 30th. Hold on, I gotta pull this up.
It'll be next Monday.
And then Wednesday.
And then Game 2, Wednesday, June 1st.
Okay.
And then Saturday, June 4th.
Yeah,
or
June 5th.
Sunday.
No, June 4th. Yeah, no, that's Saturday.
Goes May 30th, June 1st, June 4th, June 6th.
Which is Monday.
June 9th.
Yeah.
June 12th.
Thursday.
June 15th.
Okay.
Yeah. 17 days.
That's pretty normal,
games,
though. That's pretty
I
normal.
don't remember being.
They always drag it out because they always want a game to be on the Saturday. Is normally when
they don't want a big gap between last game, award show, draft.
Yeah, they don't want a big.
Free
and
agency.
I think they also made a call to the NBA and they're like, hey, let's kind of help each other out. and not be on the same night, and which I think is exactly what's going to happen.
Well, it's smart if the Raptors are in the final because Canada's going to be.
You got me watching games, but they're not going to be there.
I haven't watched a game, but I've been watching from Twitter, and it's entertaining.
I can't say that I've been a part of that. Okay, so I golf with 3 men that are all 60 years of age. So they all grew up in the bare knuckle boxing era of hockey, where if you had an issue, you fought about it, basically. And they talked about guys who fought, talked about Dave Smanko and all those guys. So, and they came up to the conclusion that hockey just isn't the same as it used to be, which is the narrative that most older generation people come to, right? That hockey just isn't the same. Talking with us, and just over this podcast, I've realized that that is true. One of the biggest things that hasn't been a part of hockey in the last 20 years has been those moments that we always remember. Name a moment post-lockout that is one of the most memorable moments that you have, other than maybe Chicago winning the Cup in 2010 or Boston winning the Cup in 2011.
But
what are fan favorite moments that happen in playoff series, in the regular season, that made your heart warm? It just doesn't happen anymore.
Teemu Selanne's first game back in Winnipeg.
The
tears still roll.
Exactly.
Stamkos' 60th here.
That was
But
cool.
that's because I was there.
But for people that don't know, Steven Stamkos scored his 60th goal. Last game of the year. It was Tampa Bay here in Winnipeg, and everyone was, when he scored, everyone's like, damn it. Okay. Standing ovation. Which was cool.
It happened
it was cool.
The shot happened right in front of me.
It was cool.
But I'm just saying, pure emotion.
Everyone remembers?
Everyone remembers.
God, none off the top of my head.
I think the only ones that I can think of is Chicago, Boston, and that Alexander Ovechkin on his back behind his head goal.
Okay, one of the fondest moments I have, and I'm pretty sure it was pre-lockout, but Saku Koivu's first game back after having cancer, and he scored a goal at home.
Pre-lockout.
Fantastic.
Absolutely
fantastic.
Same with Mario Lemieux when he came back and scored against the Leafs. First Heritage Classic game outside.
That was post-lockout.
That was pre-lockout. That was in 2001.
Yeah, Oh, sorry. I thought you meant...
And Saku Koivu is also pre-lockout, I believe.
You're right.
And it was funny when you were saying, favorite hockey moments. I wasn't even alive. We were not alive during this. But I have the 72 Summit Series. One of my favorite all-time hockey memories, well, apart from Bobby Orr scoring the goal, but Bobby Clark to Valerie Karlomov's ankle. Seriously, when I saw that, I'm like, sold! This guy's awesome!
If we're going that route, Pittsburgh, Philly 2012 was great.
No, but see, then a moment that sticks out only for me because I'm a Flyers fan. I don't even know if you guys probably remember this, but not everyone will remember. Post-lockout, though, Giroux's first shift in the 2012 series where it was, they were down by 1, and he scored, and then he decked Crosby, and then he scored the goal 30 seconds later. But that's just a quick moment. That happens in games all the time. Exactly. It's not like everyone remembers it.
But there hasn't been a hockey moment where it's brought people together to watch. Because we won Canada broke a
2010 gold medal, Canada.
Oh!
Yes.
That's not NHL.
It's not NHL.
Hockey-wise, because
good.
That's another really big moment. Other than that, and I was going to say, Canada winning the 2002 Olympic medal, because it was the first time they won in the Olympics in 54 years or 52 years or something like that. And they beat the United States, and they proved everybody wrong. They won in the United States. It was a big moment. Once again, pre-lockout. A lot of the moments that people gather around for. Ray Bourque, hockey fans of generations, watched him play. And I think this year is the first time we have a potential for that to happen with the San Jose Sharks and Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau, because guys have had a connection to them. If you're a Boston Bruins fan, like my cousin is, he's cheering for Joe because he's a Joe fan.
I was just going to say, with Ray Bourque, Teemu Selanne...
that might be the only other one, was when Teemu got to lift the cup.
Yeah.
And you saw... But once again... It wasn't the same spectacle because you knew he was going to play again. It wasn't like, this is my last year. This is it for me. Well, and that's what it was for Ray Bourque. Yeah. The stakes were high.
22 years! There's that video of Ray Bourque winning it. No words. What happened to those commercials, by the way?
The NHL gets influence from Sportsnet, which means it's shit. Which is another thing that all these 3 guys said. they're like, well, why aren't you watching? One, they said no Canadian teams, and two, they cannot stand the coverage that Sportsnet has. How is it that every fucking Canadian hates Sportsnet? They literally can't stand it. They can't. And I think one of the biggest problems, too, is that they've influenced what CBC does, because now it's a Sportsnet broadcast. And it's not a CBC broadcast anymore, because it used to be just CBC influenced content. Now it's Sportsnet influenced on CBC, which is just we've talked about it so many times here, but
what I was gonna say, I watch those videos; they're great. I will tweet them if I remember. I was thinking about that. I think that's the team. Like if Sharks and Tampa, sure, I have the hashtag I believe in Harvey Duran. I'm pretty sure I'll probably cry if Thornton lifts the cup. I'm almost certain of it. I want to see Thornton win lift the cup.
There's a lot of sentimental feel-good stories on that team.
I'm not gonna cry if the Blues win.
No,
because that just reinforces you can win off painting, dry paint. It's just awful. But
Chicago and LA did it.
No, that's different. Because it's Chicago. Yeah,
but
yeah, hockey's changed obviously, and that's a great point that there are no like feel-good memories, and that's why this series might be pretty awesome to see. Now, different question. Stamkos has not played a game. He's for sure going to get his name etched in the cup if they win.
Yes.
Does he dress up and lift the cup? Does he get the cup first? What do you think?
I don't know. That's a very
Or do the three assistants just go and get it together?
I read an article
back in the day when Calgary did with Lanny McDonald.
I read an article this week saying there's a very good possibility that he won't play at all in the playoffs, even though he's been skating.
He's teasing it. That's why.
It's different to go on a contact game. Honestly, if he doesn't play and they win the cup, I can see him getting the cup second.
Behind the three assistants.
Or, honestly, he might even come out and get it himself. He's the captain.
No, that's what I'm saying. Does he dress up just to do it?
Yeah, I would see
he's
why
a
not.
captain.
Yeah.
And if he's going to be gone, send
or
him
he'll
off
take the
nicely.
picture, and then he'll hand it right off to everyone else and get it last.
Yeah, I think he'll be on the ice.
Yeah. Oh, well, me too. All right. Any other notes on the NHL?
Yes.
Go.
The other day, I believe it was yesterday, long-time hockey coach John Brophy passed away. He coached the Leafs for a few years. There's a great article written by Down Goes Brown. I'm going to get Cam to retweet it. He talks about his history and kind of what he was known for. He was a tough guy when he played junior hockey, and he coached a few seasons for the Leafs, and was just one of those classic coaches that just... He almost fought a goalie after they beat that team in overtime, and the goalie started yelling at him. And he was probably 70 at the time, and almost threw punches at a goalie who was probably 30.
You mean how Berube tried going after...
Buff?
Yeah. In a regular season game, I'm like, hey, Craig! Now! Craig, what are you doing?
Probably doesn't end well.
So obviously,
No.
that's too bad, because he was a long-time coach in hockey. He didn't really have a long-time stint in the NHL, but was in hockey for a very long time. Now moving from NHL to international play, Canada won the gold medal for the second straight year at the World Hockey Championships.
Denying destiny. Finland.
And beating Finland and taking out the possibility of the first world team ever to win all four tournaments.
So a country to win, U18, Ivan Helenka, World Juniors, and then that. I just want to say, based off his performance in the gold medal game, probably out of the top 10, Patrick Laine. You don't want to draft a guy like that. I mean, he doesn't show up in big games. It's clearly proven.
Now, here's the thing about
I'm
Patrick
also
Laine.
Damian Cox.
All right,
Listen.
All right, Toronto Maple Leaf fans.
Listen to these terrible notables for Patrick Laine. Liga Best Player in Playoffs, Yari Curry Award. Liga Champion. Liga Most Goals by Rookie, 17. Most Points by Rookie, 33. Playoffs, Most Goals, 10. Rookie of the Year. World Junior Hockey Championship All-Star Team. Gold medal, most goals was 7. Top 3 player on team. World Championship All-Star Team, Best Forward, MVP, Silver medal, top 3 player on team. Those were his accolades this year for Patrick Laine. He got voted MVP.
Of the tournament.
Yeah, so he's a terrible player. And
he's awful.
As was mentioned by a writer in Winnipeg, the Jets should probably draft Jesse Puljujarvi over Patrick Laine.
I still understand the argument as to why you draft Puljujarvi, because he's a centerman.
Exactly.
But their need is a triggerman and a winger.
It's done.
That's
and
the guy. The only thing they need to do now, the Jets, is to just
hope that the Leafs
The
draft
Leafs
Matthews.
decide to maybe not go Austin Matthews. That's it. That's the only thing.
That's almost as dumb as the article I read on the weekend that said Alexander Ovechkin's probably going to get traded to the Winnipeg Jets for Patrick Laine plus 3 roster players because that'll get it done, and Winnipeg can afford him.
That was another thing.
Okay. If that happens, I already said, if Ovechkin is a Jet before ever, I will buy all 3 of us a jersey.
Yes.
Because whoever wrote that for ESPN, no. Sorry. They're not
You're
trading him.
crazy.
1, they're not trading him. 2, he's not coming to Winnipeg. So
3, why would the Jets...
We're not trading him. That's it. Back to 1. Refer to 1.
Okay, now to bring it back to Jets for a second. Mark Scheifele had a pretty serviceable tournament. Would you say that he continued his regular season success in the World Championships and was a standout in this tournament?
He had 9 points, 4 goals, 5 assists.
Do you think that now just makes his contract worth even more money now?
he's getting...
Well,
honestly,
he definitely didn't do anything to make his money less valuable, Jacob Trouba.
I think he's
did he even get asked to play for Team USA?
I don't know. Maybe. We'll never know if he got asked. I'm sure he might have gotten asked, but he didn't play.
Wheeler got asked and turned it down.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know.
I think he's got a newborn. That's why.
Yeah, I don't know if Trouba did. Scheifele's getting an 8-year contract, $6 million a year.
Now, here's the other question.
That's what I think.
With the 2 previous championships by Canada, is it going to be more and more of a tournament that more Canadians go to now?
No, certainly. We talked about this last week. But, yeah. No, as I was watching like half the game, or the first 2 periods on Sunday, I was like, wow, all these younger kids now, it's not even really about... It's for the love of the game at this point now.
It's the Edmonton Oilers and then a few other players.
Edmonton Oilers and then like bits and pieces of everyone else.
Because McDavid, Hall were there, and they're a big part. McDavid looked amazing.
Ryan Ellis is a veteran on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
He's like, what, a year older than us? Oh, my God.
No.
It's a new age
he's not.
Hockey.
He's a year younger than us.
It's a new age.
No, he's
Or
not.
he's the same age as us.
He was a year older than us.
He's not a year younger.
He was drafted 2 years before Taylor Hall.
Okay.
A year before Taylor Hall.
He was 19, captain of Team Canada when Jordan Eberle scored that goal against Russia.
Yeah.
So what year was that? Was that 2010?
9.
That was in Ottawa. Yeah.
Okay, so then yes, he's a year older than us.
Year
Yeah.
Year and a half. I want to make myself feel better.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, talking about junior players now.
Yes.
Memorial Cup.
Christian Dvorak. Or would you rather talk about...
I'll tell you the scores, okay? Red Deer opened the tournament against London, lost 6-2 to London. Brandon played Rouyn-Noranda, lost 5-3, and it was more like 5-0. They scored 2 goals in the last game. John Quinville's goals off the chain.
Yes.
Very nice. Between the legs.
And then Red Deer played Rouyn-Noranda and won 5-2.
Shades of the Great American.
Really?
Yeah. And then Brandon last night, something happened. I don't know if it was a game, but they lost 9-1 to London. And before the game started, the line of Christian Dvorak, Mitch Marner, and Makachuk, including that tournament and since the start of preseason, combined for 473 points. That's 473.
Yep.
Oh my God.
It was a lot of points. Now, with Brandon being 0-2 now, do they have a chance to make it to the weekend?
They have to win out, and they have to.
Well, they only play.
Red Deer has.
Red Deer has to.
Red Deer has to lose one more for Brandon to even have a hope. Brandon has to win out, and Rouyn-Noranda or Red Deer have to lose one as well.
Well, Red Deer's done their. Red Deer has to. They only play Brandon next, and Rouyn-Noranda plays London right now.
How many teams make it to the finals?
Well, there's 4 in the tournament, but they cancel one out with the lowest record.
So when you finish first, they changed it. So when you finish first, you get an auto bye to the finals.
So the semis is.
And then there's a tiebreaker. If there's a tiebreaker for the bottom 2. So 1 auto bye to the finals.
Gotcha. 2
bye to the semis. Bottom 2, 3, 4 play a tiebreaker.
Oh, so
if there's need for a tiebreaker, they play a tiebreaker to play to the semis. If there's no need, 4 goes home. 2, 3 play in the semis to play 1.
So here's my question:
the final, by the way, is Sunday on Sportsnet.
Says Brandon, and I think Sportsnet does a better job covering.
Yeah,
junior hockey.
They let RJ Broadhead, Sam Cosentino. They don't. top dogs. They're real.
They let their junior guys do a better job than the guys doing at the National League level.
I would argue, yeah, because it's the same crew all year.
Exactly.
They do one game a
week, and they actually have proper insight, and they do a better job than these whoever else they have that run Sportsnet for NHL.
We know you don't like sports.
I know.
Either way,
we're all in the same boat, don't we?
So
real disappointed, Brandon. I don't know what's happening.
Just a tough tournament.
It just seems
too much hockey.
Nowadays. To me, it seems as though now the skill level is shifting from west to now the powerhouses are in the OHL. Q's picking up. It seems to change every couple of years, but like in the last half decade, it's just been like the WHL. They haven't won every year, but just dominate some teams. Now, I thought Brandon was a team to beat, but I guess not. Obviously, I'm being biased.
London they hadn't lost I don't think they lost a playoff game.
I think they might have lost one, if that. I'm not 100%. I know they swept the last. They were 8-0 leading into it.
The scoring with Mitch Marner and Christian Dvorak, by the way, Arizona Coyotes and Arizona Coyote fans. 53rd overall, Christian Dvorak.
Insight.
You may not have.
They're going to be a good team.
They have the best prospect pool in the NHL now.
That is
what
Jets.
They're ranked. They are now on elite prospect. They are now number 1.
That's because most of the Jets prospects have migrated up to the.
Well, they still consider like Nikolai Ehlers a prospect because he hasn't fully played.
Nonetheless, semifinal goes on Friday.
Yeah.
7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then the final goes Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. If you do get a chance, watch it. It's awesome. It's amazing hockey.
Okay. London, if they beat Rwanda tonight,
3-0.
They're 3-0. They automatically get the bye. Do they win the finals?
Yeah.
My vote is no. And here's why. Because if Brandon or Red Deer or even Rwanda plays, they would have had... Because right now, it's Tuesday. They don't play again until Sunday. That's a long break. Whereas you have somebody playing Saturday night.
London's been in the Memorial Cup for like 5 of the last 7 years, run by the Hunters. They're running them like an army.
I know. They're like...
I've seen every game so far apart from this one, like tonight, because we're here. The moment I saw London go up, they were up 4-0 on Brandon in the first. But not even. They were up 3-0, I think, on Red Deer going into the end of the first. When I saw London come out to play, I thought right in my head, okay, who's playing London in the final and who's losing to London in the final?
They're just that good.
They're too good. They're too, I would love that. Now it's a Cinderella story. If any of the other 3 win.
Okay.
I would love to see Brandon play there, but
won't happen.
Oh my goodness.
Does Brandon have a chance to be there again next year? Because Nolan Patrick's not going anywhere.
Provorov
may or may not be there.
They're not going to be a top 10 team. They're going to have to. They're not going to dominate the league. They're going to be in the playoffs, most likely. But I don't think, unless they go on a Cinderella run, I can't see Brandon making it to the Memorial Cup next year.
Okay.
Maybe their league final. Maybe if they're lucky. But I don't think so.
Okay.
Dan, who are you going to take? Just based off, I'll name the teams. Knights.
This shows you how much I watched you.
Knights, Huskies, Wheat Kings, Rebels.
Huskies. I like Huskies.
Okay. By the way, Huskies, pests. The team I knew nothing about. Oh God,
nice.
They're little bastards.
Mean to play against.
Oh, you picked the Huskies?
Solely for the purpose that I'm probably going to get a Husky.
The goalie's last name, not sure if he's related or not, is the same last name as one of your favorite NHL players, Marchand. Nice. That nice. Closing words, you guys.
And they're a team of pests, you don't say.
All right, closing words. What do you got?
Okay, so if you stayed this long, thank you for enduring that first 15 minutes of drunk talk and me forgetting questions, but thank you for listening to episode 94 of Last Man In Podcast. If you're wondering how to reach us, email is at lastmaninpc@gmail.com. Also check us out on Twitter at lastmaninpc. And watch us on YouTube or check us out on Podomatic. Just look in Last Man In Podcast. You'll be able to find us there.